texted her this afternoon. She was like, woohoo! And I was like, yes, Mom, but it's because of a bad reason. Like, we joked about doing a second season thing monthly, and now it's not really, that's not why we're doing it.
Season 2 on Netflix.
Yeah, season 2 on St. John Ministries YouTube of Ladies Night, yes.
Steven isn't called season 2, I'm gonna be real.
Yeah, I'll make sure he knows.
So yes, we're back. As many of you probably know, we did go into the red risk dial, which for the church protocols was to shut down again. So the church is not having worship right now. It's all online again. And yeah, so we're just kind of in that weird state where our COVID cases are going up, our hospital is getting full, and it's time to kind of lock down a little bit again and try to stop this spread, and hope that we can keep our community as healthy as possible through this. So with that being said, we decided, hey, why don't we get together again? Because we had the best intentions.
We did, and you know what? We can still do the whole mashup of the voice.
We'll do the crossover episode.
Yes. So we will try to do more, but at least for probably this week, and if we can manage it next week, we will try to come back at you, and we'll see what the church is doing after that. So this week we're just going to give you kind of a refresher about maybe a little bit about who we are in case you're new, but then also about what's been happening since the last time we filmed an episode, and then also talking about endurance and perseverance this week, because yes, this has gone on a lot longer than those, 2 weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks. Let's shut down.
My kids told me that all the time. I'm like, yeah, remember when we said it was just going to be 2 weeks? And I'm like, yeah, I know.
Just keep drawing it out. Keep drawing it out.
So, yeah, welcome back. My name is Jessica. I am a man. What did someone tell me to say? Say no. BJ is married to me. That's what I was told the other day. Like, that's how you should introduce yourself. Not as the pastor's wife, but that he is married to you, because you are the special one. So, yes, that's who I am. I also work as the library director here at Battle Creek Public Library. Well, it's not here, we're not in there, we're actually at the church, but you know what I mean. And yeah, mom to 4, high school through 5th grade. Yeah, that's me in a very little nutshell, just in case you're wondering who in the world she is. So.
Well, if you're going to say that BJ's married to you, I will say that Steven is married to me, but he's the music director here at church. I do a lot of all sorts of other things. I teach at Norfolk Junior High, 8th grade English. I have 3 kids at home. One of them was born during quarantine, so her whole life has been this, which is kind of
that's so crazy,
so sad. But so otherwise, yeah, we'll talk more as we go.
Cassie Bender, middle school language arts teacher here at St. John. I have a husband and 2 dogs. And it's funny because people with kids say their life changed, and ours really didn't because of COVID. We still kind of our own thing. I mean, yes, there were differences, but our families are in Michigan and in Indiana, so we never see them to begin with. Mm-hmm. And so it's always just been Nate, Cassie, and our dogs, and dogs can't get COVID, so here we are. No one has to quarantine us.
I guess for us, when things kind of, when we hit summer and, softball started. So we had softball. Thank you to everyone who made that happen. That was really a fun time. And as far as I know, no one got COVID because of softball. And then, so life just started going again. It seemed like once that hit, then we were all full into life again, and just the busyness. Of course, and then school started, and praise God for that. We have, continue to have students in the school learning, and I'm thankful for that. But at the same time, I mean, gosh, then sports, we still had sports, and our fall sports just wrapped up yesterday. So it's kind of like, we get a week. And then we have basketball. So at Lutheran High, at St. John's, I think right now they're going to hold off for a little bit at least to do that. But yeah, our lives really picked up and went crazy again. And to the point, we're hardly home at night. To get a night together to eat was like, it still is, seems rare. Mm-hmm. And so just taking, unfortunately that's something that we got to take a break from during COVID and really have family time, and now it is being intentional again about making time for family, about playing games together, about doing things. And I would say I miss just that togetherness as a family unit and growing closer that way. But I'm grateful, at the same time I'm very grateful that we were able to go back to school, that the teachers, are doing okay.
Survivors.
And, in all honesty for us, wearing a mask is a very little thing to have for those benefits. So for us, that has not been much of an issue. Even though I have heard that my son does not wear them as much as I would like him to. Hopefully he's getting better. So we'll see.
I only have 45
So, yeah.
minutes.
you're like, mental note, did he wear
If you catch him, tell him to put it on, because we have told him time and time again. But so for us, life just got back to normal craziness, chaoticness, and with the addition of wearing masks and 6 foot social distancing and all of that to boot, but everything else pretty much went on. So that's our updates. So.
I guess for us, our summer was pretty relaxed. I mean, we didn't have softball. We have little kids. We stayed at home most of the time. My biggest interaction was probably with you guys. We did go up and visit Steven's parents in Minnesota one of the times in July, but otherwise nothing really changed, like at home family wise, until school started. So when school started, it was kind of a readjustment period where we had to figure out, first of all, schedules of getting ready in the morning, because then we had a newborn that I had to get up earlier to feed before getting the other kids ready. And then how does that work? Making sure that Steven is ready to put them in the vehicle or to walk them to preschool or daycare, because Eliza started preschool. She started preschool, and we had 3 kids going to daycare, and then Eliza also had dance starting, so she's trying something new this year, which she's...
Big year for a while.
Yeah, it's a really big year, preschool and dance, and she's bossier than ever. She thinks that she does no wrong when she tattletales on Silas, and I say, well, where did he learn that from, Eliza? You. Okay. So a lot of like tattletaling on name calling and things. But yeah, Steven and I, we decided, crazy decision, we were going to direct theater at Lutheran High, so we've been helping with the 1 act, directing the 1 act. So it's either him or me going to practice at 6 o'clock in the morning, with the kids getting there at 6:30 to run through the show maybe once before I have to run to school, so I get there on time across town. And it's been really fun, don't get me wrong, but I feel like we've almost put more on our plate than what we did last year before all of this happened. And then school-wise, school has been really good. It was really nice to get back into the building with the teachers, just so, to have some interaction day to day with people that you worked with before COVID happened. But I think there are quite a few of us who are, while we're really happy to be in the building with the kids, it's almost like a checking in with each other all the time, like mental health wise, how are we doing? Because I feel like, especially with the dial going to red this week, it's been really kind of a struggle for some of us teachers to say, okay, well, what can we do to help the community if the school's not changing at all? Because how Norfolk is set up right now, we're going building by building, and right now our risk dial building by building, we're all in the yellow. So yellow, orange, red being the worst, we're still in the yellow. But it's a struggle, maybe just consciously for me, to be like, well, how can we set an example to the community saying, well, we're helping in some way. Yes, we have the kids in the building, we're helping in that way to keep them safe, learning in the building, but just making sure that our kids are wearing their masks when they need to, which most kids are doing good. Some kids daily need to be told to still keep their masks on. It's still a big deal. So that's where we're at. I know this last week was exhausting. And I think, time change, the dial going to red, election things happening, and then not having church this weekend. It felt like we were back in quarantine. It was really weird to not get up this morning or not to have Stephen go to church to play last night. It was kind of weird. So, yeah, that's where we're at.
So, again, my family is such a different situation because Nate and I, we even talk about it. Like, if one of us gets sick, we just like shove them upstairs and we'll see in a couple of weeks. Like, I'll bring you some food every once in a while. It'll be okay. Here's a jug of water.
The door.
Like, I'll just run to the top of the stairs, ring a bell, and walk back down. Let's be real, it's gonna be Nate. It's not gonna be me. But school has been an adjustment. And here at St. John Ministries, we've been so blessed because we're building and we've brought on 3 new middle school teachers. But that meant there was a lot. It was the Cassie show for the first couple of weeks.
You were in charge, the leader.
I'm the department head of the entire middle school. But that was just, and now, looking at it now, it's been such a blessing. I'm so happy for the teachers we have. I have so much fun with them. They've been a blessing this fall. I cannot wait to get into my new classroom. It's gonna happen.
I'm excited for you.
I'm gonna cry. Like, I know I'm gonna walk into and the kids are like, why is Mrs. Bender crying? You never cry.
I can put anything wherever I want,
Look at the storage. And the kids are gonna be like, crazy lady. It's gonna be great. They're gonna be so excited. And the 8th grade girls, bless them, those girls' hearts. Like, you're so close, Mrs. Bender, but it just keeps getting pulled further and further away from you.
It's dangled in front of you.
So, but other than trying to get through a building project, we did move when we first went to Orange.
Yeah, you did.
We tried that. So I was in a different room and, oh my gosh, I never need to redo that again. Like, you don't realize how many of your things you get used to, and you have things in certain places, and then you think, oh, it's all in this cart, but it's not really all in this cart. You just lied to yourself. And then, like, you're sending kids, like, quick, run to the modular. Like, that wasn't fun. Oh, that was, and I'm glad we were able to mandate masks for that reason, because as a teacher, I probably aged about 7 years in that 5 days. I don't even know how long it was. I was out of that room in 30 minutes. When they said you can go back, I was like, take this, walk it back, and we were out. I was like, I am done with this. My whiteboard was on a table, so I literally like sat on a table and wrote because we couldn't hang anything. Oh, it was the worst experience of my life. Like, I even said, I never thought I'd say this, but I want to go teach in the modular. And like everyone laughed about it. So funny. But other than school, which has just been, it's been hard. And I'm so thankful to be with my students because they do energize me. But at the same time, it's just been a long run. And we talk about the busyness, and I'm in my master's program, and Nate got into a master's program, and I teach Tech 21, so once a month I drive to Seward. And like, those are things that we didn't have.
Yeah. So you are putting more.
I am putting more on my plate. Because
why are we doing this to ourselves? I think we just got way bored
and then
during
Nate
COVID quarantine, and we're like, when we start our regular schedules up again, it'll be easy. It's not easy.
I was wrong. I lied to myself. But like, it's just those little things. And like, the master's was before that, but like, it's at the end now, so now they actually like make you work really hard for it. I have homework due in a couple hours. It's fine. Wow. I tell my students not to procrastinate. You're right.
Don't follow our example.
Cooking dinner and not being on quarantine is the craziest thing. Because I got such into a routine of 5 o'clock, I'd stop what I was doing, I'd cook, because at that point I was able to get stuff done.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, now I deal with kids till about 3:30, then whatever other teacher thing I have to do. Then I get home, I'm like, 6 o'clock, and I'm hungry. And
Yes. Yeah, you have to make dinner.
but other than cooking dinner, I don't have a window at my house, but that has nothing to do. And that's been prolonged because of COVID. That's my biggest beef with this whole situation.
Give her a new window.
I want a window. It's not
just for her dogs.
Clueless,
they need the light.
Can't see who's coming. You never know who's at the door. Is it Eliza? Is it somebody else? Is it Ellie? But yeah. Anyway, not big changes, just school changes. Yeah. We're all going to move into that promised land soon. We've been wandering.
Yeah, we're excited that that's hopefully nearing the end.
Oh, I'm gonna cry.
We hope,
As you
especially
Nick God's gonna open the door and be like, what? Like, okay, well.
Yeah,
The legs
just leave me
laying in the
alone.
middle.
For floor.
Just leave me alone.
I'm smelling the carpet.
I did walk back into the modular and I was like, Dorothy's like, I missed you, and I missed you, I missed you all. And I was like hugging all my books. And Tia was with me and she was like, oh, okay. I'm like, look at all my files and the papers I left here and the coffee cups.
She's just not as attached because she hasn't been there as long.
She doesn't understand. She's like, yeah, I really wish the floor that leaks. I'm like, I don't have that problem.
The floor that leaks.
It's, yeah, sometimes it just like runs water. It's very strange. But
I can be thankful because I heard it is sold, right?
it has sold. Someone has purchased it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So,
Take it away.
so once you're moved out, it'll
It'll really be gone. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I know as long as we have been here, it has been here. So that'll be different for us to look out and be like,
new yard.
no, it'll look very different. So it's funny because we always talk about how our yard is getting privater and privater in the back because now we have this big building.
Right.
It used to be, you could see right out past it. Wow. Before long, they're just gonna close it all in and
Privacy fence around the
There you
around the
go.
person.
like it. So, you know, to say that things are normal, it's not. Whether you've added more stuff to your plate or you're still sitting back and taking caution, staying at home and not getting out, life just isn't normal. And who knows, you know, if it ever will be quote, quote, normal again. And I think you brought up a good thing about this week. This has been just one of those weeks that has been really difficult. The election has really, you can see at the election how that's really playing hard on
And it's like just dividing people too.
Yeah.
Like even the kids in my classes, they've been talking about the election with social studies teachers, and then they come to class and they still want to debate about it, and I'm like, let's just take a break, you guys. Like, it's just another one of those things where we have no control over it. You guys really have no control over it because you can't vote. So, I mean, you just have to take it as we go, so.
And I think when you're thinking about meeting, and I thought about endurance and perseverance, is because exactly what you said. With COVID, we feel so out of control. Here we're back in a red. We kind of got lax during the summer months when things were warm and things were nice. And, you know, to be honest, it hadn't hit home. It hadn't hit here
Yeah, really.
like it has now. And so to go back and do those measures that we were doing at the beginning when it wasn't even here seems difficult to do now, but might be prudent in a way to do that just so that we do stop the spread. But there's just a lot of stuff that we have to get through, a lot of emotions, a lot of things. So I just thought about endurance and getting ourselves through that, and most importantly, how we rely on our faith to get us through that. So we have some Bible verses to share. I'll let you guys start.
I go first. Well, our school theme this year I really like it. And you know how I was going to feel? It's a very long verse for a theme verse. But I relied on it a lot, actually. So, the theme verse for St. John Lutheran School this year is Hebrews 12, verses 1 and 2. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance for the race marked out for us. And then I talk about fixing our eyes on Jesus, the founder of protection. But the idea of the great cloud of witnesses, and Nick did a great job the first chapel explaining like all those biblical heroes and how awesome they are, and we look at them and go, wow, they're amazing. And like right now we are getting, in my religion class, we've worked through the wilderness into the promised land, and now they want a king. And but you look at Moses, you look at Joseph, you look at all these people and you think, they're such a great biblical hero, but they also sinned, and they also they were entangled with some form of sin. Something bothered them, something they struggled with, something they fought with. But you have to throw that off and run with the race. And Nick talked about like being at a sporting event and all these people cheering for you, and that's what it's like. And I think, in a way, those great cloud of witnesses aren't just believers before us, they're believers we're with now. And running a race with perseverance, that's hard. Some races are easy. They're called sprints, and I ran them. Some races are hard. There's a reason I've never ran a marathon. And it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of guts, and it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of things, and you don't build perseverance in one day. And so to think about all of that, and think about COVID, I just think we've been running this race for a long time. And every stop point, it's a new thing that gets you to the next one, whether it's an Excel gel, which are disgusting, don't ever eat those, or it's a glass of water, like those little things, and finding those little things along the way that do encourage you. So we talked about it, I think in one of our first things, what am I looking forward to?
Yeah.
Right, so like, I mean, I'd be lying, I'm looking forward to Thanksgiving.
Me too.
It's just gonna be the most beautiful, glorious thing that has ever happened. And I have these first year teachers on my staff. And I remember as a first year teacher getting through October thinking, this is awful.
Yeah.
It's a long month. And I remember someone saying, you'll just feel like Thanksgiving can't get here soon enough. And I feel like that again. While it's not my classroom, I know how to teach, and like Nate said, you haven't really created anything new this year. I'm like, it's survival mode, Nate.
It is. It feels like first year teacher, first year, in the classroom again, because it's almost like you're trying to get back into rotation. If you're thinking about it, how do I function in the classroom, especially with all these new rules that you have to,
And my room was a lot of together and moving and
Yeah.
singing and touching and playing a game and touching pieces, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm allowed to do. So, like, it's changed, but it's still the same content, which has been helpful.
Yeah.
But I feel like a first year teacher, and I can see Thanksgiving, I can taste Thanksgiving, I can smell Thanksgiving, but it's just not here yet.
Yeah.
And so, but that's gonna be a thing I'm looking forward to, and I know that moment of refreshing is gonna be so needed, and I'm sure if I need it, there's no doubt in my mind those 13, 12, 11, 10-year-olds I deal with every day also need it, because you can just tell when they're tired. And it's more evident in a 5th grader than an 8th grader. But like 5th graders at the end of the week just come in and they, like, you think they're gonna cry. I'm like, just need to take notes, buddy, it's okay. I'm tired too, it's okay. And I think that's some of what I kind of thought of with that perseverance and having those stop points. In races they have them, they hand you water. Some they hand you M&Ms, I'm not sure what. But finding those little cups of water, they're just gonna throw it aside a second, but just to make that moment, I have to get to that stop point. And I always used to ask my distance friends, what do you do? Like, I look at a cone, past the cone, past it, get to the tree, past the tree, get to this, past that. And so, I think a lot of it is, it's like running a distance race. What's my next checkpoint? What's my next thing I can get through? And knowing that you're being encouraged, that these people who came before us, even in the Bible, Joseph had to deal with probably being really mad at his brothers all the time. And Moses had to deal with the Israelites, which I tell the 6th graders, I would have killed them. We would have not made it to the 40-year mark. I would have just taken my staff and went crazy. And knowing that God got those people through that, I can get through this.
I think the hardest thing is just, it feels almost like the rules are always changing too. Like, there's never a definite, like, okay, this is how it's going to be, and you just keep battling through, whatever your day is throwing at you, get through it. Whatever the week's throwing at you, get through it. But then the next thing you turn around and it's like, oh, but by the way, this is changing. This is going to happen now. So then the whole way that you were functioning to get through something is then shifting. So then you have to relearn and readjust so that you can meet that new marker. So the verse that I was focusing on is 2 Corinthians 4, 16 to 18. Therefore we do not lose heart. Though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen, since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. So I like the whole idea that you brought up of like, make that marker. And those are things you can see. But what about things you can't see? And I think the things that we can't see are more important, kind of like what the verse is saying, is that, all these things that we are able to see day to day really is building up towards something that we can't even fathom right now. And thinking that, God is in control of all this. He will always be in control of all this. And sometimes it's hard for us to remember that, especially when we are those creatures of habit where it's in our human nature to think we've got this under control. We know how to handle these situations. We've dealt with these types of things before, but really we haven't in this type of situation that we've been thrown into. And so I mentioned it, in episodes that we did earlier this summer, how my grandma stuck in her assisted living, can't get out. And I was talking to her on FaceTime, or actually phone call a couple weeks ago, and she's just like, I just don't think we're gonna get together for Christmas. And I was like, but Grandma, maybe we'll just have to do it next summer. Like, and hopefully by next summer, we can't see that, we don't know what it's gonna look like, but just to have that hope of like, something's going to come out of this, something's going to change, but we have no control over that. God does. so it's just like hoping that we're looking towards that person who's bigger than we are, and having the faith that this is happening for a reason, and that whether or not we make it through or we all end up dying because of this, I don't want that to happen, but eternally we are going to be with him. So yeah, it's just not the ideal situation of how we are living our lives at this point.
Remember what we thought last summer was gonna be?
I know.
The good old days.
Yep.
I know, I get nervous about that too. This summer. No, I can't plan anything for this
I
summer
know,
because I thought Easter I was gonna be out of this.
Right. But I mean, to know that, like, so we were watching the volleyball game yesterday. Lutheran High went to state and they won. But there was different things that during the breaks the announcer was they're interviewing people, and just one of the things that they kind of kept continually going back to is like, did you think we'd make it to this point? Like, did you think we'd even get through the season? Did you think we'd even make it to state champs? And like, they're still gonna probably have those same questions when basketball starts. Or for us, Stephen and me, we're worried just one act. Like, are we gonna be able to go to competitions? Because they're, when we get on stage, we'll take the masks off, we'll perform, then put the masks on, and you keep rolling with those punches. But it really is just like questioning, did you think we're gonna make it here?
Yeah.
And so it's crazy that they were able to make it to the state championship for fall sports at all. But hopefully we can get past that to other things where not just the young people in school are getting those opportunities to do things, but now we're seeing that COVID is now there is that, lessening, the curve, and then, those older generation people can get out of their houses and not feel uncomfortable being around people and going to church.
Yes. So, the nursing homes can allow family in to see them.
It's such a hard spot.
That is. I chose for me, endurance through all this has really made me focus in on trust. I've had to learn that I'm not in control, that there's nothing I can predict. So I have to trust that God knows what he's doing, trust that he's got this, he's got me, he's got my family, I'm gonna be okay. And the other thing that's really, I just felt like the Holy Spirit's really been using his frying pan on my head is prayer. And so I chose 1 Thessalonians 5:16-18. It says, rejoice always, pray without ceasing, and give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you. And so I like this verse because rejoice always. Who feels like rejoicing always? And part of that is our sinful nature, our sinful condition that always wants to focus on what's wrong, always wants to focus on complaining ourselves or complaining about whoever is complaining. Like that is part of our sinful nature, but God's telling us here, rejoice always. find what there is to rejoice. And I was thinking, what is there always to rejoice over? Well, God's promises are eternal. Those have not changed since the beginning of COVID. God has promised to be with us. He has promised to, his saving grace continues. That is permanent. That's not going to change. No matter what cases go up, cases go down, that's always staying the thing. So we can always rejoice that we have that. And yeah, that ultimately that outcome, as we look forward, as you guys have said, kind of getting to that next mark, where is that final mark? Well, that final mark has already been bought for us. It's already been paid for. We can rest in assurance now that we will have eternal life with him because of what Jesus did on the cross for us, taking all of that. So for me, okay, there is truly something to always rejoice about. So rejoice always. And then next it says, pray without ceasing. Well, that is something that I am not always the best about, because it's so easy to get caught up. Like I said, just our sinful nature and the devil and the world are always going to be dragging us to focus on things outside of God. And like this week with the election, just seeing people, if you're on Facebook, I'm sure you've seen it, all of you with the turnout so far, people who aren't happy. I hope that little message didn't mean that it stopped. People who are happy with the election turnout so far. I know we're still waiting for results all the way through, but people, we are a divided nation, if that's one thing we learned. And it's very disheartening. And I thought, I could sit here in gloom and doom, or I can sit here and pray and know that, like you said, that great cloud of witnesses who have been through craziness in their lives.
The Israelites.
Yes.
I'm telling you, there's not a worse group of people. Man, I would have smited them. I would have been like, God, start it over. Pick one.
And just like you said, you mentioned some of the kings. Just look at what people had been through, and they made it. They got the eternal glory. They made it. How awesome is that? So sometimes I put that in perspective in my life, I'm like, shh, I'm doing fine. I'm living a life here, even though things aren't normal, dealing with various things in life. That stuff's not normal, especially with COVID. But then also to pray. So I found myself so quick to judge people throughout this, to judge people either, why aren't you wearing a mask? Or why are you wearing a mask? Or just, why'd they make that decision? Oh, that's a stupid decision. They're not caring for us. Or why can't people see that the healthcare system needs help? And just really constantly, all these things that were weighing me down. And I thought, I have a God who's willing to listen and who kind of has quite a bit of, he's got some pull. So why am I not taking it to him? And so kind of that just realizing I have to refocus. And so when I find myself starting to complain or starting to judge my neighbor, I need to pray for my neighbor. I need to pray for my leaders. I need to pray, that God is with them. And the other thing I found myself, the emotions. I don't know if you guys have felt this too, just the emotional roller coaster
all the time
of COVID. It is weighty. This is hard. Sometimes you find yourself just, in that kind of hopelessness, I guess you could say, this isn't gonna get over, or I just want it to be normal, and that realization that normal might not happen again. And so that is really weighty. And then and I thought to myself, I'm like, I have a God who also has pull a little bit, but also is a God of hope. Why am I not trusting him to give me hope, or just saying, praying every day, God, can you just show me, give me a thing of hope today? And it might be the sun coming out to shine, or it might be a smile on a kid's face. But those are things that you can grab onto. Sometimes we look for the big things like a vaccine to take this thing away from us. We look to those big milestones, but sometimes we gotta look at just the small things that happen in our life. Maybe it's a kid who, didn't get something and all of a sudden gets something. Just those little joys in life and stuff. And then I also think, one thing I think I fail at a lot is venting. So I've heard a lot of venting. I work at the library and I try really hard not to let it be gossip central. But people want to vent, and I get that, I do. But I always think, why are we so scared to vent to God? We're so quick to vent to our neighbor, but and like, God knows you're a sinner. I mean, he's done a lot to help you with that situation, as in, sending his son to the cross. He knows you're a sinner. Vent to him. And if it's something you're uncomfortable venting to him, you probably shouldn't be venting to your neighbor.
Somebody else, right.
But then at the same time, you can vent it to him. Let him know your complaint. Let him know how you're feeling. He cares for you. He loves you. He's going to help you work through it. And asking him for guidance with those really hard feelings, whether it's hopelessness, anger, just so you're not alone in those. God is with you through those. So pray without ceasing. Don't give up in prayer, and realize the power of it in your life. And then finally, give thanks in all circumstances. So, month of November, Thanksgiving. It seems like a natural thing to spend the month, thinking about thankful. I've been trying to do this on my Facebook page. I forgot to do that yesterday. But these things that we can be thankful, focus on what gratitude. Let gratitude change your attitude. There you go. What's the saying? But gratitude really does change your attitude.
Well, and I've heard there's somebody on Facebook that I see, she writes down 5 things she's thankful for every day. Yes. So like just a way to start her day, to say this is a good thing, or end her day. Maybe she does it one way or the other. Right. But just to start your day or end your day saying, these are 5 things I'm thankful for. And it might be different things each day. It might be the same 5 things every day, but just to get into the habit of telling yourself that God is still blessing you, in your life.
Yeah. When we talked about perseverance, I started thinking about what helped me persevere. Like, what are the things that get me through every day? Like, and that was something that person did think through. And there are a lot of things, and everyone's are different. Like, even Nate and I live in the same house, what I might say, like, my Instapot helps me persevere. Because now I can cook dinner in 5 minutes as opposed to 5 hours. Yeah. But still, it's those little things that, there's a commercial out right now, when she's like, it's like a little girl, she's like, a lot of things have changed. And she talks about like how school looks different, her dad works out with different friends, and you see her dad like doing like an online. And it was just an interesting way to look at the things that have changed for good though too. Yeah, right. And those are the things that helped me persevere through all of this.
Yes. And I think, in a year, hopefully in 5 years and 10 years, we're gonna look back at this, and maybe we're gonna see those good things that were happening, and maybe we can't see it now with our limited perspective, but when we can look back and go, wow, look what God did, look what happened during that. And so yeah, my verse, rejoice always, pray without ceasing, and give thanks in all circumstances. So that's what I'm trying to focus on as we continue to run this race of COVID-19.
Love it. 2020.
Almost 2021, it will happen.
Except, there's some people are like, oh, it'll be a new year. I still think there's just going to be that readjust. Like, it might be a new year, but I still feel like we'll be coasting through this because it's not just going to end.
It's going to be a while. It is going to be a while.
And you remember that really exciting moment of the Roaring 20s coming back. Here they are, they're roaring.
So, just, I don't know if we have any real closing remarks. Just, for all of you guys who are in healthcare, I just want to say, we are praying for you. We are thankful for you. We know that you guys are seeing things that we're not. It's very easy for us on the outside of the hospital to say, oh, this isn't so bad, because we hear of the stories of the people who haven't had it that bad, or who have tested positive and had no symptoms whatsoever. And so we have a very limited perspective. And we realize that you guys are seeing stuff that we're not, that you are seeing very severe cases. With that being said, we continue to pray for Pastor Kip. He has struggled with COVID, and so we continue to keep him in our prayers. Hopefully he's on the mend, it sounds like. Hopefully looking more up now. So I do want to mention him, and that we continue to pray for him. So, we're just grateful for all of you guys who are out there fighting this battle and are enduring, a lot more than maybe what we can see just on our end, so thank you
And
very much.
I wanna thank every parent in this school who has brought teachers treats. Like,
I don't get treats.
Okay, we've had a couple
My
experiences.
Norfolk parents.
I know that Shelley Borchers has been a rock star, and Christy Schmidt's been a rock star, and like PTL put together like little bags, they put like chocolate in them for us, and like, to somebody it might be a $2 candy bar, but to me that $2 candy
Changes
bar
your day.
changed my life.
Not just the day, the life.
Like, I put it in the freezer and I like took one bite to like savor the moment, and like, they got me trail mix, that's what I said, and like multiple bags of trail mix, Chex Mix, whatever mix it was, I don't even know anymore. Game changer. So I do want to thank the parents who are out there and they say, like, and even just the encouraging messages, like, thanks for dealing with my kid, because it's probably not your kid I'm actually dealing with, but it's the fact that parents, we are thankful for you.
You, I'll say thank you, not you. I've
You're-
dropped off treats.
That's okay.
So if anything, I'm thinking Tuesday would be a good day. No, I'm just
What
kidding.
kind of Starbucks do you like?
For all of you wondering, no, I'm just kidding.
So yeah, so we'll probably be back next week,
Yep.
with a new.
I'll plan on it, so.
It's in my calendar already.
So again, thank you for joining us again. We're happy to be back. We wish it was under different circumstances, but we are happy to be back and to, reach out to you all. So stay healthy, stay strong, keep praying, keep persevering through all this. We're gonna make it. Bye.